This is Dan Rodricks at the Baltimore Sun with another episode of Roughly Speaking. This podcast is being recorded at Stages Music in Cockeysville.
Music Arts. Yeah.
Stages Music Arts, in a phenomenal studio that I didn't even know existed.
Let's give it up for Stages, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you very much for making this possible. Dwight Weems of GAZZE.
Hey.
Dwight, nice to see you.
Always a pleasure, Dan.
Let me explain to people who don't have the gift of sight what's going on here right now. We're in a studio with Dwight and members of GAZZE, which is a band that's been around since...
Dirt.
Well, yeah, like before the turn of the century, let me put it that way. Actually, how many years...
But we're younger than the Rolling Stones.
Younger than the Rolling Stones. Now, so, Dwight, how old is GAZZE, actually?
Well, you know, we don't give our real age because it might scare people. So what we say is we've been around for over 30 years.
Oh, come on, it's more than that.
Yeah, I know, but that's a
keep it going.
That's a good number that kind of references things.
I'm in the news business.
Okay.
And I got to push you.
You want factual?
I want some facts.
Okay, factual.
Yeah.
We started in 1972.
Wow. That would make you 47, 48, 47 years old.
We're chasing the Rolling Stones.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And so...
For a music business to be around that long, it's an amazing thing.
Okay. So we're going to tell you about GAZZE. A lot of people who got married, who had, bull roasts, different events over the years in the Baltimore area will be familiar with GAZZE because you're the oldest established, longest serving, longest suffering cover band in Maryland, right? I mean, it's primarily a cover band.
I don't know for the longest. The Admirals, there's been a lot of groups that have been around for a long time in this
Admirals
town.
was one, too?
Yeah. They're another great big band from back in the day, but we're still kicking.
All right. Before we go any further, why don't you introduce who's with us in the studio here?
Okay, we have several members of the band are here with us today. We don't have the full band with us, but say hello to Dana Statisky, everybody, right here. One of our vocalists.
Dana, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Say hello to Marty Kennelly right here.
Marty.
Keyboard player from
Marty.
The amazing Marty.
David Leone over there on the guitar.
David.
Stable Baltimore guy. And other beautiful and lovely. Say hello to Shannon Ramsey, everybody.
Shannon.
Hi.
So there are 5 of you here.
Yes.
But when you perform these days, there's 12, 13?
Well, we have a full complement is 13. 10 musicians on stage and a 3-person support team.
Wow. And it's always been a pretty big band.
We've always had a big band.
Yeah.
We started back in the days of Chicago and Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and we started with horns, and we decided that was the sound that we wanted to keep, and we've been blessed enough to be able to support that as a business and to continue to doing it today.
So, Dwight, you're a founding member.
Yes.
Okay. So how did it start? How did GAZZE get together, and what were your first gigs like?
You know, it's interesting because all musicians will say the same kind of thing. It starts with, and Dave, you can talk about this too, about the fact that you start out as friends, you start out as meeting people, and then you start out as having the same likes or sometimes dislikes in music. And then what you do is you go, hey, do you want to play? And you go, yeah, I like to play. You want to play? Yeah, okay, well, let's get together. And you rehearse like crazy, and you learn and learn and learn and learn. And then someone says, well, you know what? We've been playing in this basement long enough. Let's see if we can get a job somewhere and do that. And then you're lucky enough. Sometimes your first gig is your backyard party. You know, it's at somebody's house or something. You know, you drag some pieces of equipment out there, find some power, plug it in, and
you play for hamburgers, right?
Yeah, and you play for hamburgers and soft drinks. And then from there, depending on if you can take the business side of it and grow it, then you can actually turn it into an actual music business, not just music.
Dave, when did you get to the band?
96. I was filling in for Bob Matarosa, who was taking a leave of absence. And then he decided not to come back, so it's been 22 years now.
So when you jumped in, GAZZE was playing, I remember GAZZE playing bull roasts, weddings, corporate events, things like that,
We
right?
were doing bull roasts, corporate events, bar mitzvahs, weddings, then.
Yeah. And in the repertoire, you guys are sort of all over the place. I remember actually being on stage and singing Soul Man with Dwight once. Remember that? I forget what event that was. Something in Harford County years ago.
That's possible.
That was really fun.
It's interesting because the way that we started and the music that we started with was just having people have fun. And the music that we played and the music we play today is designed for people to just have a good time. We're not doing a concert. You know, we're there to entertain you, and that's the thing that we think we still do really, really well.
And would you say most of your jobs have been in Maryland? Have you guys traveled out of state over the years?
We are in 9 states. People fly us up to Hyannisport, Massachusetts.
Really?
We've been in New York City. We played at the Tavern on the Green in New York City. We played hotels in New York, in Philadelphia, Virginia. So it kind of goes. We go where the music takes us.
Are you still doing weddings, bar mitzvahs, things like that?
We're still in the private event business, and the private event business is really one of the ways that a group of our size can actually keep it running as a business, because the expenses of having a great talented staff and of musicians and all the back support that we have. We have a 3-person crew that travels around with us, and we have trucks, and we have lots of equipment and backups to the equipment and stuff like that there. So that's a place for us that we think where we need to stay, in regards to performing.
Shannon Ramsey, when did you get to the band? How long have you been with GAZZE?
My oldest son is 7 years old. So it's been about 7 years.
Yeah?
Yep. Yeah, Dwight
Were you with
saw
another
me.
band before that?
No, actually, me and Dwight met through a television show I was on called The Next. That was with CW, and he saw me on that show, and he called me up, and it's been history.
Oh, you heard her sing a song.
I heard her sing a song.
What did she sing? Do you remember?
Well, she sang. Well, the one that I heard her sing was "What doesn't kill you make you stronger." See, I didn't forget.
Yeah. That's it.
What she sang. That's what she sang. Yeah.
And Dana
Yeah.
Satisky.
Yeah.
How long have you been with the band?
Been there for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
So probably the newest.
How did that happen? I mean, how did you advertise for another vocalist?
It's interesting because as a business,
as a business,
things change.
Right.
People change. Like Dave was talking about, he was the filling in for Bob. Dave is our second guitar player, and since we've been playing music, so I mean, to me, he's original. And Marty, same thing. I feel like all these guys are original guys because of the amount of time and tenure that they put into making this an entertainment business that we do. But yeah, so once we started, things changed. People, some of our female vocalists, had families. Some had to move out of state. Some musicians may have to move, and it becomes this moving, project. But
so you're saying it's time to get some women in the band? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, you know what?
I think that's what you're getting to.
Well, you know what? We did that a while back because the music business changed.
Right.
And the music business became such that women became, they've always been a powerful force, but they became an even more powerful force in the music business and were putting out some great songs that people wanted to dance to. I mean, if you couldn't play, I'll pick a song, like you couldn't play I Will Survive back in the day, you weren't a popular band because everybody, especially the women, wanted to hear that song. They wanted to dance to that song. They were inspired by that song. So we felt the need to be inclusive of that, and we brought in these very, very talented.
They all wanted
women
to sing that song.
So how many times do you think you played the Macarena?
When
Could you estimate for me?
when it was hot, a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But
that song, every wedding you went to, every dance, right? What would you say is the song that people, if you looked at all the years back to the 70s,
right?
The song that's still requested the most?
Ooh, anybody want to jump on that?
Could you pick a song that, since all those years, some of these oldies that
Marty,
that you
got an
played?
idea on that one?
I bet you the Soul Man medley and songs like that probably show up on almost every job we've ever done.
Yeah, the 60s stuff.
I'm not surprised to hear that. Yeah. So Dana and Shannon, what do you like to sing? Well, Dana, what do you like to sing with GAZZE? Like, when it's time to sing it, you say, "Oh, this is mine. I like this one."
I have a great time singing everything.
Yeah.
I'm up there, I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm doing what I love, and I have fun singing everything. I sing some Adele, some Meghan Trainor. But we all do a variety. And
how about you, Shannon?
I would piggyback on what Dana said. I'm an entertainer at heart, so I just love when everything works together. When the horns come in, when like every section is just really like individually working collectively. And so, in most cases, though, I sing like a lot of the soulful stuff. So I'll be singing like the Aretha Franklins, the the Etta James songs, but
crushes
I
that stuff.
love a lot of the old school Motown. But I love it when we all like the groove is just
Together.
together.
Yeah.
And
It's an
Dave,
amazing thing.
what about you as a guitarist? Do you have your moment in the sun during a GAZZE performance?
Oh wow! Well, maybe
Do you-
maybe
do-
when we do
Does Dwight let you riff?
maybe in the great Crazy Train rock medley, some Leonard Skinner stuff.
Oh yeah, okay. Now, the reason we assembled you here,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys deserve recognition just for being
Oh, thank you.
together for so long and still cooking.
Thank you.
But the last couple of years, you spent some time in the studio
Yeah.
developing your own music, right?
Yeah.
Recording your own music.
Yeah.
So tell us about that process, and then we'll maybe listen to some cuts.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because as you continue to grow and you continue to change, you constantly have to, I believe, challenge yourself and do some things a little bit differently. So one of the things that we looked at was putting together a collaboration of songs and coming up with a project that we hadn't done as this group. As back in the day, we may have done like one song or something every once in a while, trying to do something. But this time, the challenge was that how can we put together enough songs and turn it into an actual album and have it be reflective of all the talented people that we have in the band today. So this project was an ongoing project for probably how many years, guys, realistically?
Well, we tried several times, and you've written other tunes. We maybe 5 or 6 years.
Okay, and maybe going back about 9 or 10 years when some of the original song ideas were just starting to get kicked around.
Yeah.
Because the time was our biggest challenge, you know, and one of the songs on the album kind of talks about that, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We should mention that the album is called Building 46.
Building 46.
I'll get to that
46.
reason for that title in a minute. But I have a question, though.
This is for you.
It was,
Kate behind the camera.
it seems to me the challenge would be, because you're playing other people's music all the time,
All the
right?
time.
And that's what people at weddings and bull roasts or whatever want to hear.
Exactly.
To slip in something of your own that people haven't heard before, I don't know if it's risky, but it's like it's not in demand, right? It's not what people want.
Right.
So, right? So I could understand why it would take you time to develop those songs.
Yeah, and another thing too is that it's hard to be original, especially when you've played everything under the sun for X number of years. How do you put all of that aside? I found myself, you know, when we were doing this collaboration on the project, you know, not listening to music. Because every time you listen to a song, you hear a note, you hear a pattern, you go, oh, I like that. I'll take a little piece of that and put it over here, and take a little bit of that and put it in there.
On the other hand, everything Dwight's come up with has a nice hook, and he's been very original over the years. So he's always been working at that.
Okay, so we got to listen a little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, Building 46
Building 46.
is a building on the grounds of the old Crown Cork and Seal complex in southeast Baltimore, in practically Greektown.
Yeah.
And the studio there was called Invisible Sound Studio.
It's no longer there.
Appropriate name because I think for a lot of non-musicians or even people in the music business today, it was invisible to them. It was an amazing studio.
Right.
I did a story about it. There'll be a link to that story in the notes of this podcast.
Right.
But it was in Building 46.
It was in Building 46.
And that's where you did this
Old,
recording.
broken down building.
Yeah.
And Marty, you could talk about that because you helped design that place.
Yeah,
many years ago.
okay, yeah. We had moved out of an actual basement situation with a couple of friends that I grew up with in the music business. And we decided, okay, let's give it a shot. And this is back in the heyday, this is the 90s, when there was somewhat of a functional commercial ability to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. We had all grown up playing, okay. Like I said, I've been playing almost 60 years, okay. I started when I was in the single digits, okay. And we just put we put our heads together.
Now he's in the double digits.
Doing the math there, Marty. Yeah.
He's getting ready to split
I'm waiting for those triple digits, Marty.
like a stock. I mean.
Okay, so we put our heads together. Okay, I was working out of the metropolitan area one summer. Okay, down in a downtown city not too far from here, and we came up with the idea. Okay, hey, we've got all this gear sitting around because we're all working musicians. Why don't we put it in one place and do a little recording? I says, hey, that sounds like a great idea. And we ended up designing the original basement studio over the telephone because we couldn't physically be in one place. Okay, and these guys are sitting there at the end of the process. We weren't going to see each other till like September of the year, and they're biting their nails saying, "Oh my gosh, I hope we did this right." And the place came out wonderfully.
And then did you help with the move to Building 46?
Okay, yeah, and we were able to find this. Okay, the backstory is hilarious. I was working at the basement studio with a bunch of fellas who had a flag and drum corps, and they were looking for a rehearsal space that was large enough to encompass the entire group. All right. Well, they said, "Hey, we just happen to have met this really strange fella, okay, down at the Greektown neighborhood, and he's got these gigantic rooms." Okay?
Big old warehouse, right?
I mean, literally a warehouse that had been there since the turn of the 20th century. And he says, "Man, okay, he's going to rent us out this place, and we're going to fix it up, and we can have all the rehearsal." They didn't do it, and we went and saw the man.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, oh, what the heck? Let's take the plunge.
Yeah.
Okay,
It-
but
it was an amazing place.
the acoustics
Yeah.
you couldn't duplicate. Some of the walls there were 24 and 28 inches thick of multi-courses of brick. Okay, we had to chisel them out.
You talk about how things change, right? I mean, the need for a recording studio by musicians, that kind of changed.
Yeah,
Right?
the technology, and more you can talk about that too,
Okay,
about technology.
yeah, the technology can be miniaturized. The one thing that cannot be miniaturized is acoustics. And if you're not paying attention to where you're doing things, as well as the how and the who, you end up not being quite where you need to be.
As one who records podcasts in different places around Baltimore,
Oh boy!
I'm very happy to be here at Stages.
my condolences, yeah.
So now go back to that song you were referring to that deals with time.
Yeah.
The idea of time. Which song is that? We'll listen to a little bit.
It's the last cut on the album, and it's called "Wasting Time," and it talks about the fact that everyone gets the same amount of time to do whatever they want to do with it. You get 24 hours a day. And what you do with it that day is entirely up to you. And sometimes if you really want to get something done, you're going to have to focus on getting that thing done and make that a top priority for you. Otherwise, it may never get done. And you will end up wasting time doing things that really aren't as important, really as important to you as you want them to be at the time. And the older you get, the more important time becomes. Because time, the older you get, the less time you start to think about, So
What do you call the song?
it's called Wasting Time.
It's hard to define the passage of time. Seconds turn to minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. Then you're old and you die. It should be a crime, wasting of time. We look back and wonder what we could have been if we were left versus right. I'm telling you that time is not on your side.
So Wasting Time from the GAZZE album, Building 46. GAZZE's been together, a band in Baltimore, for 47 years, and the album is Building 46, and you finally did your own album.
Look at this.
Yeah.
This is from
Oh my God.
It's from
Hand me that.
1991.
Oh my God. This is, Dwight just handed me a copy of the old Baltimore Evening Sun, which is where I started my career at the Sun. And this is the accent section, which was our style section.
Is that
Wow.
crazy or
And
what?
we sent I think she was an intern reporter at the time, Lisa Weissman, out to do a story about you
Is
guys.
that crazy?
So this is in 1990. So this was 20 years in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's my friend Kevin Cowherd's column over here. And here's an article about James Galway performing with the Baltimore Symphony. Right. Hey, you know what you were saying about music and how you hear so much music, so you don't know how to write original. So it's hard to write original music because you hear so much.
Exactly.
Right? Like I was listening to a Beethoven piece, a piano concerto, and there's a section in it that's right out of West Side Story.
Right.
It's like, wait a minute, go
it's
back
muscle
and
memory.
what was that? Bernstein, who was a student of Beethoven, a scholar,
Right.
and if
muscle
you hear
memory.
it, it's right out of the song somewhere.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even know you're doing it. Sometimes, because the reality is that there's only so many notes. They're just all rearranged.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
This is an article from 2004 in the Today section of the Morning Sun. A nice spread on GAZZE performing at weddings, and there's a nice picture of Dwight there. And the author of this, the reporter on that, was Rob Hyacin,
Yeah.
who we lost in the shooting last year in Annapolis.
Right.
He went and worked for the
my
Capitol after leaving the Sun.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Shannon, do you have a favorite song off this album?
I do. I actually lead more of the bluesy song on the album. It's called a Real Man, and a real good man, and it's just really, it's a really good soulful blues song, and I had so much fun with it because of where I got to place the vocals as far as my register. I got to really sing it in my lower chest register, and
let's
we
hear
just
it.
had so much fun.
And before you listen to it, I want to tell you, how expecting were you at the time when you came in to do the ending track?
I was 8-9 months. Actually, I was due. I was, and you know what? And when you hear the song, vocally, it put the sauce on top of it. I'd like to say, because I was slightly congested, but because of where I could place the vocals, like right in my chest register, and really sing in my lower register, it worked so well. Mm-hmm. It just really worked to my advantage. So it doesn't always work to my advantage, but it really did with this record.
Got me a smart man, smart enough to give our love a try. Got me a cool man, cool enough to pass the others by. Got me a real good man, and I'll always be right by his side.
I'm glad you finished recording that before the baby came. Although it could have been exciting if all that happened while you were in the studio.
Yeah.
Dana, do you have a song off this Building 46 you like?
Yeah, I'm featured on a few of them. I like Looking for a Man. Similar but different. It's kind of fun. It's got a little twang to it, but a little twang, a little blues, and it's just fun. It's definitely a relatable song for any single lady out there, or someone looking for a man.
What is it called?
Don't want no one night stand, just want me a real true man. And when I find me the one, hold on tight, 'cause it's gonna be big fun. That's why I'm looking for a man to hug me, I'm looking for a man to love me, I'm looking for a man who'll make me feel like a woman. I'm looking for a man to tease me, looking for a man to please me, I'm looking for a man who'll make me feel like a woman.
How many tracks are there on the...
It's 11. It's 46
11.
minutes worth of music.
Wow. 46 minutes on Building 46
Exactly.
by the 47-year-old Gazze band.
Coincidence.
All right.
What a coincidence.
Dave, do
Everything
you
was
have one
aligned.
you like?
Right.
I like Time, and I also like I Love You, which is sort of like a country
yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, let's listen to that.
Little bit of guitar work.
Okay.
on it.
'Cause baby, I love you. So let's get together forever and ever, and I promise I'll always be true.
Well, there's more to hear. How is that available, by the way? Folks hearing the podcast want to hear Building 46.
It is available. It was interesting because we had this conversation. We're going, how do people consume music mainly these days? I mean, there's no CD players in cars anymore. There's no CD players. A lot of people, their stereos they don't have stereos anymore like we used to have back in the day. So we said we have to
I'm
make
still
it
using
available.
cassettes. No, I'm
I still
kidding.
got the 8-track.
I got a whole pile of
cool,
cassette tapes someplace.
You have
You
something
have
to
a
play 'em
cassette
on?
player.
Yeah, but it's also someplace that I lost track of where all these things are. But anyway, so how do you listen to Building 46?
So you can listen to it any way that you consume music these days. If you like Spotify, it's available there. If you like Apple Music, it's available there. If you like it on iTunes, it's available there. Deezer. So you can, cdbaby.com, you can go there and look up GAZZE Building 46. You can research it
Hey.
there. I'm holding this up for
All
you
right.
again. Look, there you go.
Yeah, because we are recording some
We're
video here.
recording as well as we're talking here. But
I
anyway.
had one more question though.
Yeah.
So I remember you guys used to play in public venues sometimes, like
Yes.
like a bull roast
Yep.
or a
Yeah.
crab feast.
Yep.
I used to love to go to the crab feast where Gazze was playing. So do you do anything like that anymore? For
I tell you what the challenge is. The challenge is that in the level of playing that we're doing, it's hard for us to work that into the mold of what we do as a business. Now, if we wanted to do it just for fun and just do it, then fine. We could do anything we want that way. But as far as making it a business and keeping it as a business and paying all the bills and everything else that goes inside it and compensating the talent of these wonderful people, because when you look at it, when we started, and we were talking about this before, Dave, that how many places that we had as musicians when we started, there, and because you play,
Yeah.
so you play. There were many different
Teen
venues
centers.
for you to play, where you had the ability to actually utilize your craft and play. And as you got better, you moved into better venues and better venues and better venues. Well, when the DJ craze came in, and the business people looked at that and went, I could pay a DJ $50 and I have to pay a band, I don't know, back in the day, 300, 500, whatever. Then they took that route. And it squeezed out a lot of places for people to play. The full-time musicians these days really have to be, unless they have an act that's really taken off, you have the ability sometimes to be in 4 or 5 different bands, just trying to do one night from place to place in order to be
All right.
lucrative for you to do.
I've consumed all of what you said, and I understand it.
Got it.
Now I put on my promoter hat,
Yep.
and I would say, hang on for the 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
And then put a call out to anybody who hired Gazze for anything, including weddings.
Man,
In
it's
fact,
smart.
tell the women to come in their wedding dresses, wedding gowns, and
could be- that'd be
go to
funny,
Pier 6,
actually.
go to Pier 6 Pavilion. I mean, do a concert, and sort of like, if you, I don't know how we'd bill it, but it'd be something like, listen, I said we. Did you
Right.
hear that?
What, a special guest.
Do like sort of like a reunion concert, but
Right.
you put a call out to, hey, if we performed at your wedding, come and hear us at Pier
Right.
6 or something
Right.
like that. You like that
I
idea,
think it's a
Dana?
great idea.
Look at Dana's
Sounds
looking.
fun.
Yeah, right.
Hey, well, listen, thank you very much. And
you.
congratulations
Thank you.
on getting this far and getting the album out.
Thank you. I'd like to
you
give another
so
shout out
much.
to Stages because for them allowing us to be
Yes.
here. today.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
This
Thank
is
you
as
so
good as this
much.
podcast will ever sound,
You know.
I think. Next week we'll be back at the studio at the Baltimore Sun, where we have foam from the House of Foam covering all the walls in our studio.
But this is a great place here for, especially if you have young students who really aspire to really be serious about music. This is a real place to be serious about it because of the recording capabilities, and they can do AV. You can see how they have a performing stage. So it's a lot different than when we grew up, where we just took a lesson in a closed room.
Again, it's Stages Music Arts
Yep.
off of
Cockeysville.
Cockeysville Road in Cockeysville.
Yep.
And thank you to them, and thank you to everybody for listening to our show today. I'm Dan Rodricks at the Baltimore Sun. For my producers, Hallie Miller and Steve Early, thanks for listening to Roughly Speaking, and we'll see you again soon.
You got me wondering, what should I do? You got me thinking, if I fell in love with you, would it be true? You got me wondering, you got me wondering what to do. You got me wondering, should I hold your hand? You got me thinking, oh, will I be your forever man? Well, that's my plan, baby. You got me wondering, you got me wondering what to do. You got me wondering if we should kiss. You got me thinking, or will it always be like this? Or should I resist? You got me wondering, you got me wondering what to do. Wondering if we should wed. You got me thinking, should I let you inside my head and in my bed? You got me wondering, you got me wondering what to do. Wondering, should I fall in love with you? Wondering